and I've started the recording. So I'd like to introduce Charvel Ackle. He is with BL Harbert International. He is an engineer by training, and he's a compliance director for BL Harbert. Is that correct, Charvel?
Controls director, project controls.
Sorry, controls director. I don't think anybody can introduce themselves better than the person who is the person. So I'm going to kind of let you take over here. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Absolutely. So I graduated from the University of Alabama in Birmingham with an engineering degree, and I joined Harvard back around 1998. And by the way, welcome everyone. Forgot to say that. And so we build projects all over the world. Our main client is the Department of State. So we build embassies all over the world, in Asia, Africa, South America, Central America, Europe, and we've even tried to build projects in Antarctica, which was a research center. Well, we did not get that particular project. So I'm going to go through some slides. I'm going to show you guys some videos, and we can then, I guess, extend the conversation and get some Q&As. Can everybody hear me okay? Anybody having problems hearing me at all? So this, the motto of the company is build anything, anywhere, and we definitely have done that. That's beyond that picture is the U.S. Embassy in London. And then if I move on to the, let me click on that. Second slide, we have over 7,000 employees all over the world, 56 nationalities, and we are rated #1 in top green contractor projects, and ranked 10th in ENR worldwide. We do design, bid, build, and mostly for the U.S. government, but we do for other vendors. We've done for the Marriott Surf Club, we've done for the U.S. Virgin Island wastewater treatment plants, and we're also located in the United States in the Southeast, but my department deals with projects all over the world. As you can see from this map, we've worked in South Africa, Namibia, Angola, Zimbabwe. We've done projects, top secret projects in China. We're currently building one of the largest projects in the world, which is in India. We're also in Iraq, Erbil. We're in Beirut, in Turkey. We're in Sweden, Morocco. We're also several locations in Mexico, in Merida, Guadalajara, and Hermosillo. And I will move on. We've built the new U.S. Embassy in Jakarta, and that had one of the worst traffic in the world. The clients, of course, was the U.S. Department of State. And all of these projects require LEED certification by the U.S. Green Building Association from either gold or silver. And then the U.S. consulate in Karachi. I lived in Karachi for several years, and that's one of the largest U.S. consulates in the world. It had housing for the consulate general. We'll move on to another slide. This is the Annex upgrade in Amman, Jordan. We finished this project. This is a consulate in Matamoros, Mexico. And in that particular project, we had actually our U.S. employees, our U.S. citizen employees, live in Brownsville, and every morning they drive to work in Mexico, and it was like a 15-minute drive. So after work, hop on their cars, drive across the border into Brownsville in the morning, drive down to Matamoros. In Tunisia, I worked on that project also. And fun fact, is the smallest country in northwestern Africa. It's between Algeria and Libya. That was a nice project. In Dubai, we built, these are some pictures of projects in Monrovia, Liberia. After their civil war, we went in and built a new facility for the Department of State. This is in Johannesburg, South Africa. That was a US consulate. And a fun fact, of course, Johannesburg is home to the world's largest man-made forest, which contains 10 million trees. In Congo, we also built the US embassy there. This is in Nuevo Laredo, and the folks in Nuevo Laredo, I think, also lived on the US side in Laredo, and drove every morning to Nuevo Laredo. In Madagascar, you guys have probably seen the cartoon movies. We actually worked and lived there. Fascinating places. The animals and the wildlife was just amazing. So we actually seen the movie for real. In Abuja, Nigeria, we built the US Embassy, and we built the expansion also, and I actually worked on that project. In Nigeria, the capital used to be in Lagos, which was at the very south of Nigeria. They moved it to central Nigeria to kind of combine the north portion of Nigeria and the south portion of Nigeria. And Abuja is a nickname for Center of Unity. It was their new capital. Of course, that's the embassy in London, one of the most magnificent structures we've built. All that facade is all glass. It's all blast, force entry and blast resistant glass and structure all around the whole facility. And we've got several locations around the world to support our different projects. This is our office in Birmingham, Alabama. There's 13 flags to represent the 13 colonies, and each flag represents one of the projects that we are building. And we have more than 13 projects, but the first 13 ongoing are represented there. This is our logistics center, all the materials. So this contract that we have with the US government, all the material must come to a facility. They must go in a secure container where the containers are inspected. They're sealed by the US government. When it goes to the country, whether it's in Congo or Indonesia or Guatemala or Honduras, there's a team that inspects it, makes sure that it has not been contaminated. And this whole issue of contamination started when we were building a project in overseas, and there were bugs planted. And I wouldn't go into which country it was, but there were bugs planted in the rebar that would allow the bugs battery life for over 100 years. So the batteries and the bugs, even if they died down, they would get supply from the reinforcing steel and survive another 100 years. Of course, that was all demolished, and that's why there's so much security. And we self-perform all mechanical, electrical, We have all the materials shipped down. This is a project, I think this is Pristina in Kosovo after they declared independence from Serbia. The US government decided to build a facility there, and that is the new embassy in Kosovo. Of course, safety, small business, very important. This is one of our projects overseas. We almost purchase everything in the United States and ship it down there because you can't, in some locations, there's not a Lowe's or a Home Depot or a Walmart down close by to just walk in. We have to send the materials prior to getting our construction going. Of course, that ends that slide, and I'd like Stacy to show. I have two short movies. Can I start with that, Stacy? The short movies
Sure,
now.
that's sure, because I think it's very demonstrative about your company.
Okay, great. And then we can then go into more topics and Q&A. Now, if the volume is low, let me know. And
it's so rewarding to get out to our job sites and see the different nationalities and the different cultures that we're working with. And it really kind of makes you understand that we're all very similar all over the world in our desires and our work habits and our family lives.
What we've managed to do as a company is we've managed to set up a system that allows us to go anywhere in the world.
I think one of the things that really makes the Harbert team successful in the field is that they are empowered to make the decisions. So they have a great sense of responsibility, but also they have a great sense of award and reward when they make the right decisions.
Finding those people that can work together as a team and basically be dropped in the middle of nowhere.
One of the keys to our success has been our ability to self-perform, take the control and the risk, really, and obviously the other side of that is the reward, too. So it works out really well.
We self-perform everything. That means we do everything. Electrical, mechanical, plumbing.
I think the biggest thing is recognizing the talents in the local region, utilizing that talent and then rewarding them for it.
Harbert is not only giving to the local people a job for 1 year, 2 years. We are training the people and give them some responsibilities, and they succeed. There are some people who start from laborers, and at the end of the job, they are foreman. After the project finishes, Harbert will go, but they will stay here with something.
Safety is a part of our culture, and we spend a lot of time and a lot of money and a lot of resources to make the job as safe as we can and as safe as possible. That's just the way it has to be done. There's no other option.
The training, the safety orientation, the meeting, those one, the most important thing. So we need to communicate and make them understand the importance of the safety. So we need to make sure that we have the quality and the production and the safety together, like twin. We cannot work without quality, we cannot work without productivity, and we cannot work without safety.
I hope that our legacy as a company is the thousands of people out around the world that now have a craft and a trade that they didn't have before we started, and that they can work anywhere in the world and feed their families and have a great career in the construction business.
You built something, you can look back at it and say you built it, and it's a lot of satisfaction, and you know the team of people you had to put together or the people that worked on it had to put a lot of hard work into it, and I think that's what we really look at.
So that's one of our big challenges, I believe, is just figuring out how to do business in each and every one of these places, and it's always different, and there's always special challenges. And I think that we've assembled a very, very good team that can make that happen.
I've got another short video that I'd like to share, Stacy, if that's okay. Is that okay, Stacy? Okay, let's see.
Yes, I'm sorry, I couldn't unmute. My mouse wasn't cooperating.
Okay, no problem. Here's another short video also.
What we've managed to do as a company is we've managed to set up a system that allows us to go anywhere in the world. my head, I think we have 48 different nationalities that work with us.
We are like 30 nationality or 25, and everybody talk with his group and laugh with his group. I don't know how, but we laugh and we talk, and at the end of the day, we get the job done.
From the top to the bottom, I think there's good values, solid values. It's not changing from one day to the next. They know how to bring the best out of the people themselves, the leaders, and I think they're very talented in that respect.
I'm an office engineer. From day to day, I'm working with the submittals, material procurement, and tracking of the materials. I started working with Harbert in Guangzhou, China as an intern. I was there for a year, and then I moved back to Birmingham to work under our architectural design team. And I got transferred to Helsinki for 5 months, and then I got transferred back to Birmingham to work on the Jakarta job. I was there for 8 months and transferred here to site and been here for a little over a year.
Finding those people that can work together as a team and basically be dropped in the middle of nowhere and do that.
We self-perform everything. That means we do everything. Electrical, mechanical, plumbing.
Combining the logistics and combining the self-performing is something we have complete control of. In the end, if we fail, we know it's because of us, and if we succeed, we know it's because of us.
Carpenters, plumbers, electricians, mechanical people.
Somebody comes to work for us, whether it's a young engineer or somebody that's been in the business for 10 years and just really hasn't found their ground yet with the company. They see us as a company where they can grow from within, and if they're performing well, their opportunities are endless.
Hanging sheetrock with the laborers, as well as running concrete crews, as well as doing some surveying, which I did learn in school. And every single one of my supervisors was more than willing to take time out of their busy day to work with me, to teach me that teamwork, that camaraderie there. And that means a lot when you're an American overseas and you don't know many people.
We make people accountable for what they're doing by giving them the freedom to do what it is they need to do to succeed in their job.
What is amazing about Harbert since working with them has been how focused around the employee they are.
And we find that the employees that want to come work for us are very excited about that because it gives them a new energy.
We're not a number. I've said that since 2005.
They're actually part of a winning process. Accountability, knowing if they do something, the company's going to stand behind them.
As long as you can produce, as long as you can succeed and prove yourself, so be it. They're very trustful. They're very empowering.
One of the things that really makes the Harbor team successful in the field is that they are empowered to make the decisions. With that, they know that we're not going to be micromanaging them. Well, there's no way we can micromanage them from across the world. So they have a great sense of responsibility, but also they have a great sense of award and reward when they make the right decisions.
I think the thing that probably surprised me the most was the ability to let us kind of make decisions on our own without too much middle management. They've always said they steer the ship from 30,000 feet, and we're able to go down and manage at the job level, make our own decisions. That's something I wasn't able to do at the previous company I worked for, so it's like a breath of fresh air. It's really nice. Employee-oriented, they're very interested in developing the younger generation and the groups coming in.
I think that the management at Harbert very much cares for all level of their employees. They are very welcoming, they're one-on-one. I've learned a lot, and they are happy to teach.
If you want to be a kind of person whose difference is going to be known and appreciated, then Harbor's the kind of company that you want to join.
What makes me feel good is what we're doing, giving back to the community, what we're doing, teaching these people these new skills, and still providing great quality projects and buildings for our clients. That really is rewarding.
If you get the opportunity to change lives, is what you get.
So we've built this and added the water tank with plumbing and where they pump water from here. Our teams probably get as much or more than these kids get.
It's a big family of 2,000 or 3,000 people working overseas.
Motivation, attitude, that's the most important thing, because anybody can learn something. I'll personally promote anybody who shows the aptitude and the drive and the hard work that it takes to get the job done, because that's all what it's about here, is getting the job done. If you're inclined, sky's the limit. It doesn't matter where you come from.
Everybody looks at a management team as the top 10 or 15 guys. Well, we look at our management team as the entire 4,257 people. It's every single person within our company that makes us who we are today.
Okay. I think that's concludes the short videos and the is your
I've got a couple of questions that have popped up in the chat, if I may transfer those to you. My question was, and this kind of came up just out of my head, did you, when you were doing the Madagascar project, you were talking about the animals, how great they were. Were they a problem in the construction?
No, absolutely not, because we were in the center of the city, but
okay.
On the weekend you went out to the wildlife, and I never got to visit Madagascar, but I was told endless stories, and they were fascinating stories.
One of the formal questions was, what was the hardest project to get the materials into the areas where you were doing construction in? Like,
yeah, good question. Landlocked like Chad, Niger, right? And the problem is these landlocked countries, you had to get the containers to either Nigeria or Cameroon, and then these containers go on a truck and then transported across entire other countries, one or two, to get to where you need them, where there's wars, there's roads are not that great, where there's military conflicts, and we basically sometimes a container might take 2.5, 3 months from the United States to those countries. And in fact, there's certain times during when we're building projects where the U.S., because of the wars that were going on, and the U.S. government took over the ships, so we couldn't get containers to go over to India and Burma. Because of the war in Iraq and all that, and priority was for military shipments and all that, and we couldn't send containers that could take 2-3 months, took 6 months to get delivered.
so what other questions do folks have? If you want to unmute, you're more than welcome to do so. Or you can put it in the chat.
I have a question for Mr. Charbel, or Charbel, excuse me. You have, it sounds like you have quite a few years now in the industry, and I am curious what kind of qualities you find in yourself that got that, there's different sides we have. So were there qualities that you have that were challenged by the intercultural experiences that you had while doing work, and then that you learned something from and grew into as a result of working with other communities, other cultures? I'm curious about your personal reflections that might help us think about ourselves.
Good question. We have folks from all walks of life that have never traveled the world, that join Harbert, and then they're with us a couple of weeks in Birmingham. All of them are getting to learn a little bit about the cookbook, and then they're off to Indonesia or Burma or Congo or Liberia, and they love it. They learn about the local cultures. They learn about the local food. They are constructing project based on U.S. standards. They make friends with folks that natives of those lands, and it's very rewarding. It's extremely rewarding. They learn a lot. The team that goes down there, we are required to provide a certain number of cleared Americans. So these are the project manager, the project engineer, the project controls engineer, the mechanical manager. All these have to be US citizens, and not only US citizens, they have to be vetted by diplomatic security and obtain a secret clearance that would allow them to go down to or go over to these countries and build this facility. And we hire sometimes locals that we train from, say, Togo or Ivory Coast, and we actually move them to other countries, Sudan, Ethiopia. We have folks from Nigeria that are working in other parts of the world. We have folks from Tunisia that are working on our embassy in Lebanon. And so it's a very close-knit set of Americans that love working overseas, and it's very, very rewarding to them.
The next question, is your company building the new embassy in Jerusalem?
We did not win that embassy project. No, we are not the contractors for that embassy, no.
Next question, how did you get into this field?
So I've always loved traveling, and so the requirements for these positions are any sorts of engineering degree, civil, electrical, mechanical, structural, or building science, or any sort of construction background. This is for the engineering part. Of course, all the trades are welcome. So I've always loved traveling, and I found out about Harvard does all these projects all over the world, from timeshare to airport to wastewater treatment plants to commercial buildings and U.S. embassies. And so I applied, showed my interest in traveling, and joined Harvard, and have been with them ever since, hopping across the world from country to country.
I think that kind of, the second part of the question was actually what you just said. It was, were you interested in construction and just so happened to work for an international company, or you deliberately sought this company out?
I deliberately looked for a company that I could travel all over the world with, and then I connected with Harvard.
In all of your travels, which culture required you to adjust the most? Which was the most challenging for you personally?
Now you will notice that people everywhere are very welcoming. I mean, I don't think people in any parts of the world have a problem with any people. They might disagree with the governments, but they don't have any problem with your normal folks, right? Regardless of where you are. They want to meet you, they want to talk to you, they want to be friends, they want to share. So don't believe everything the media says. People really don't have a problem with John Doe or Jane Doe anywhere in the United States. They might not agree with the governments, but they don't have any problems. So really, you go in, you build a project, you don't do anything to offend the local population, and there should be no problem at all. You will enjoy it. There's families there. I mean, the way I look at it is like, hey, there's other Americans that are living there with their families and their kids. Am I better than them, right? I mean, we have projects in Erbil right now, or in Pakistan, and there's other people there. Am I better than them? Am I better than the U.S. workers that are there with their families? So why shouldn't I go and enjoy this overseas experience.
Has there ever been any pushback from local communities? And if there is, what's the strategy to gain trust between you and the communities?
Well, the land, where the location, where the embassy goes, has already been predetermined. A lot of countries, the U.S., the local government will provide the land, and they're more than happy for the U.S. government to come and build the embassy. So we go down and we just have to navigate with getting the building permit and how to get our materials and the local laws for local labor. We just have to start teaching ourselves about what the requirements are, and we're good at that. We do a lot of self-reforming, and like I said, we keep a lot of third country nationals that we move them around different parts of the world.
What about safety and security for employees?
Now, in what sense? During construction, or are you talking about sending our American workers to Pakistan or Iraq? Is that safety, security in construction, or is it in your daily living in the foreign countries?
Well, that's actually both very interesting questions. How do y'all deal with, safety standards when you're in a location that you had to bring everything? And then also physical security. Those are two kind of separate issues, but they're both kind of interesting to know about.
Okay, that's a good question too. So we have to comply with OSHA standards and the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers safety and security, and that's extremely important. There's safety. This is construction sessions every morning, toolbox review, and we have an actual safety manager, an entire safety team on site that makes sure that every task, every activity being done is done in a safe and secure manner during construction. So we might be in Burkina Faso, working in Ouagadougou. We built the U.S. Embassy in Ouagadougou, and that is landlocked. I mean, that is close to Timbuktu, which is supposedly the end of the world, but people are fantastic, and everybody is willing to learn about safety and security, and that is the most critical portion of that. Now, regarding safety of personnel, it's like anywhere you live, you just have to be careful about your surroundings, and which, you don't want to be out 1 o'clock in the morning. You might get mugged anywhere. So the U.S. government will not allow us to go if there's a military conflict. Families might not be allowed, or you might be required to live in a camp. So, for example, in Erbil, Iraq, families are not allowed, and everybody has to live in a camp. Whereas in other parts of the world, you're free to do whatever you want to do. You just have to, be careful and not wander around to different parts of town you're not supposed to go, or late at night, basically. So.
That made me think of an interesting question, I think. Have there ever been any projects that y'all have had to stop in the middle of it because of conflict? That has arisen?
Well, we were giving a stop work order for about a month, and so we had to leave Erbil for a month and then had to go back to Erbil for a month, after a month. So yes, there has been a situation where they've asked us to leave and then come back. Of course, recently with the COVID suspensions, projects were stopped for several months, and where employees went back to the States and then after came back to the country. So it's happened more recently with the COVID than it has with military conflicts.
Are there other questions? We've had some good ones so far. Is there a place you would like to build in? that you haven't done yet?
Actually, Antarctica. I've not been to Antarctica, and there was a project where it was a research facility in Antarctica, and the only time you can get containers to Antarctica, or the only place and time, is from New Zealand, and it had to be in November and December. After that, you could not actually even go to Antarctica unless it was like a helicopter. I think the ocean froze other than November and December. Around 2.5 months was the only time you could actually get containers and transportation other than helicopter. And I think there was a period where even helicopters can get to Antarctica, and you could only build the footings a certain period of the year, and you had to enclose that structure so you can do the finishes during the winter months. But that would be one place I'd like to build something.
What is the glass material securing the chancery as armor?
So there are several companies that specialize in building blast-resistant glass, and there's a design, the framing, the embed. So when you're going up with the concrete structure, you have to place embeds, and then you attach the structural steel to them, and then these special fabricated blast windows are then utilized on the facade of the building, and the history and test shows that previously in an explosion, the damages was more the windows blowing and hitting people, and so that's why they tell you duck. If something goes on, just duck, because the more damage is from the flying debris. And so this facade structure prevents the glass and other debris from flying in and causing more harm to the folks that are in the building.
What is your favorite kind of project to build? It sounds like y'all do all kinds. Do you have any particular favorite kind of project?
I enjoyed the constructing the Aruba Marriott Surf Club in Aruba. We built timeshare. I've been involved in a lot of embassy construction, so I enjoy the embassy construction. Each one is a little bit different and has its own challenges.
How long do projects usually take, and what's the longest project that it has taken to complete?
Okay, that's a very, very good question. So the U.S. government, to expedite construction of these embassies, introduced what they call design build. Well, what is known as design build, where the contractor was awarded the design, which would eliminate 1 or even 2 years from the duration. So a typically small embassy or say consulate in say Guadalajara would take maybe 2.5 to 3 years. A big project such as the one that we're doing in India is 5 years. The project in Beirut, Lebanon that we're building right now is a huge project, and it was supposed to take about 4.5 years, but it's going to end up taking nearly 7 years due to the many complications. And so the small projects like small embassies in Ouagadougou, Burkina Faso, or Liberia, you're talking 2.5 to 3 years if there's not extra work or changes added to that scope. And the big ones such as Erbil, Iraq, New Delhi, India, Jakarta, Indonesia, Beirut, Lebanon, London, those are several years, 4 or 5 years, approximately 6, 7 in Beirut.
Well, Charbel, one thing I noticed about the videos that your company was talking about, I mean, I know your background is engineering, but they were talking about that they like tradesmen as well, or they want people of different types of talents and skill sets. So the company, what kind of people, you know, most of the folks on here are students and they're seeking careers. What are some of the types of recommendations you can think of for backgrounds that might appeal to a company like yours?
So the U.S. government for every project requires a certain number of cleared U.S. citizens. So not only do they have to be U.S. citizens, they also have to go through a background check and obtain their secret clearance. And most of the very critical positions require U.S. citizens obtaining these clearance, which would include from the project manager, mechanical, electrical, plumbing managers. So you've got engineers and you've got tradesmen. We need cleared American carpenters. We need cleared American electricians. We cleared American plumbers, HVAC guys. So in addition to engineers, we need tons of cleared American tradesmen and women that go down and get involved. There's also safety, quality control manager. These are all cleared American positions. Now we do have other projects that doesn't require clearance, but we do take U.S. citizens for these top levels. So in addition to engineers, absolutely, we need other sorts of trades, like I mentioned.
Okay. Are there any other questions, students? No? Well, Charbel, well, thank you so much for your time today. We really are grateful. Very interesting, and hopefully you'll get to Antarctica to do your project one day. What about the Arctic? Have you built anything in the Arctic?
No, we don't. We haven't.
Not yet. Okay.
I just saw. Yeah, I saw a question. It says, has the local government or community asked for your company helping building a certain project? We actually in Zimbabwe we built a school free of charge. Harvard did. We also donate a lot of stuff all over the world. So we help a lot among local communities all over. But typically we would only take projects from the U.S. government overseas. We typically would not work for local governments in those countries because we're a U.S. company and we specialize in these embassy constructions, and so we stick with that.
Okay. Well, I think that is a wrap. So I'm going to stop the recording. I again want to say thank you so much for taking your time to join Jeff State and our Global Studies Institute.